Rahim. All right. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. So we are on page 6 in third line. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الدنيا سجن المؤمن وجنة الكافر. I'll repeat the words. الدنيا سجن المؤمن وجنة الكافر. The word dunya, you understand, meaning this world. Sijin, the word sijin means prison, jail. Sijinul mu'min, the prison of the believer. So this world is the prison of the believer, wa jannatul kafir, and the garden or the heaven of the kafir. What does the Prophet ﷺ mean by that? Meaning that in this world, the believer goes through hardships and he treats those hardships as the hardships faced by an inmate in a prison. And once the inmate comes out of that prison, then it's freedom and then it's all happiness for him. Likewise, when we are in this world, we are going through good times and bad times. But when a believer leaves from this world, then there's only good things for him. There's only pleasure, there's only Jannah, there's only bliss for him in the hereafter. But on the other hand, a kafir, when he lives in this world, he thinks this world is everything for him. So he does all the sins, he enjoys the life of this world because he does not believe in akhirah. So when he leaves from this akhirah, from this world, in akhirah it will be all prison for him, and there will be no pleasure, and there will be no happiness for him, and for the believer there will be all happiness. So another meaning of this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made some things haram in this world for the believers, and only believers will treat those things as haram and will stay away from them. So there are some things that may seem pleasurable, may seem good to a person, but when we know that Allah has made it haram, then we stay away from it. Like liquor or zina, fornication, or other things. We may think that, oh, there's some pleasure in it, there's some enjoyment. But when we understand that Allah has made it haram, we stay away from it. So for a believer, yes, this world is like a prison because there are many things we can't do. But in akhirah, it's all the garden, it's all the pleasures. In this dunya, for a non-believer, everything is good. Everything is like heaven as he wants to, and then in akhirah there's nothing for him. Next, as-siwaku matharatun lil fam. This word is mathara. It comes from the word tuhur or tahara. As-siwaku matharatun lil fam wa mardatun lil rabb. Mardat. Both of them are with the fatha of mim, mathara and mardat, and they are both masdar mimi. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, miswak. As-siwak is miswak. You all know miswak, right? Okay. So miswak, it purifies your mouth. It cleanses your mouth, purifies your mouth. وَمَرْضَاتٌ لِلرَّبِّ, and it earns you the pleasure of your Rabb. So you get two things from doing miswak. One is the immediate benefit, and that is your teeth get clean, your mouth smells fresh. That's one benefit. And that's what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, mathara. It cleanses your mouth, it freshens your mouth, it purifies your mouth. Number two, وَمَرْضَاتٌ لِلرَّبِّ, and it earns you rida, the pleasure and the happiness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So miswak is an important sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
So miswak is important because it's the sunnah, or miswak
It's
itself
sunnah.
has something?
No, miswak is important because it's sunnah.
Okay.
Sheikh, how is it mardatul lil-rabb?
What do you mean?
How is it?
When you do it with the intention of following the sunnah, then Allah is happy with you. Then it's rida. If you do it only for cleaning your teeth, then you only get the first benefit, mathara. So if you do it like for example, if you're doing, if you're brushing your teeth with miswak, and your intention is not really to follow the sunnah, not really to earn the ajr, not really to earn the reward, then you get the first benefit, mathara. It freshens your mouth, huh? Yes, it freshens your mouth. But if you also seek reward from Allah, then it's also mardat. It also earns your reward, rida, and pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
You know, this in some toothpaste they have miswak in there. Is it the same thing?
What is it?
In some toothpaste they have miswak in there. So is it the same thing if you use the miswak toothpaste? Probably not, right?
Miswak? No, miswak. The toothpaste doesn't have miswak. They just for marketing purpose. They call it miswak. You know, toothpaste doesn't have miswak. There is yes.
Are there any hadiths, any other hadiths related to miswak?
Many.
Besides this one?
There are like 40 hadith regarding miswak. The benefits of miswak, the importance of miswak, the virtues of miswak, the fadail of miswak, the importance of miswak, all those things. There's a question here. Wouldn't be smoking haram because of the health effects? That question is important. Yes, health is important for us, but in order for us to understand fully if something is haram or halal, we need an evidence from Quran or Sunnah. So the most we can say, about smoking is that it's makruh, or we can say makruh tahrimi, but we can't say haram, because only Allah makes things halal or haram. We are no one to say that this is halal, this is haram. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا تَقُولُوا لِمَا تَصِفُ أَلْسِنَتُكُمُ الْكَذِبِ هَذَا حَلَال وَهَذَا حَرَام لِتَفْتَرُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ الْكَذِبِ. Only Allah alone has the authority to make something haram or to make something halal. So if we don't, in absence of an evidence for haram, we cannot say it's haram. But what we can say, a level down from haram is makruh or makruh tahrimi. So what we can say is makruh because it's bad for your health, it's bad for your condition. Next, al-yadul ulya khayrun min al-yad as-sufla. Al-yad means hand. The Arabic word for hand is yad. Al-yad, again, this is a jumla ismiya. It's beginning with a noun. Yad is a noun. Al-yadul ulya khayrun min al-yad as-sufla. Ulya means upper, and sufla means lower, bottom, top and bottom. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the upper hand is better than the lower hand. What does he mean? He means that the hand that spends in the path of Allah is better than the hand that accepts the spending. So you give with the higher hand, with the upper hand, and the one who takes with the lower hand. In the context of this hadith is also a story mentioned in another book of hadith where someone came to ask from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam whether he should work and spend in the path of Allah and earn the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or should he go help other people and be the recipient of sadaqah, be the recipient of zakah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, al-yadul ulya khayrun min al-yadi sufla, that person, basically by hand, it is a reference to the person, that person who has the ability to spend in the path of Allah, and he does spend, is better than the person who puts himself under his own circumstances, through his own work, in a position that he is the accepting person. If someone is made in that condition, forced into that condition, not by his actions, then that's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then there's nothing wrong with that. But some people choose to be the beggars. As we go in our countries, whether it's Saudi Arabia or India or Pakistan or any Muslim country, we see people are begging, and those people have no apparent disabilities or no apparent reason to beg for help. But they have made it a profession. So every day they wake up early in the morning and they come on the street or at some particular point, and the whole day they beg. And I have also heard that some people, they earn so much by begging, that they sometimes earn thousands of riyal or thousands of rupees every single day, and they earn more than a person who's earning outside. And me and Brother Shakib, when we went for Umrah 3 years ago, we went to Hira. We went to the cave of Hira, we went to Ghar Hira, and you have to climb the mountain. So as you're climbing on that mountain, Jabal al-Nur, there are steps now. So on nearly every other step, there's some beggar sitting over there, asking people for money. And we witnessed this when we were going up there. There was one beggar, and he was asking. He was healthy, and he just had his his rug on the floor, and he was sitting there under the sunshade, and he was asking people for money. And one person, he passed by, and he has some mercy in his heart, so he said, I want to give you some money, but I need change. So he had I think a 500 riyal bill or 1,000 riyal, and he said, I only have this much. So the beggar goes, oh, I have change. So he lifted up his rug, and under his rug there were 50 riyal, 100 riyal, a lot of money. There was like this much money. And he gave him 400 riyal or something like a change, and took the money from him.
And the brother didn't have a clue yet, we shouldn't give him.
The brother was just so kind.
Sheikh, I had an inmate with me who just recently left. This is his profession.
Yeah.
In Boston.
In many places, it's a profession.
MashaAllah, he can lift me, you and I, both.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
So this hadith means the upper hand is better than the...
Yes. The one who gives is better than the one who takes.
What about like the person that's actually given? Should that be person? Do we have the responsibility to ask ourselves before giving the money to that person?
If you think that person is going to use it in a wrong way, some people, you give them money, they go buy liquor.
Yeah.
Some homeless people, you give them $10, what they do, they go buy liquor. Or they go buy cigarettes, or they go buy these things. So if you know about someone that the money that you will give them, they're going to use it in a wrong way, don't give it to them. But if you don't know, or if you think they will use it in a good way, then that's fine. You can give it to them. Allah will give you a reward for your spending. But then, if they're doing it for the wrong purpose, for the wrong reason, Allah will question them. Al-ghibatu ashaddu min az-zina. Backbiting is worse than fornication. This hadith gives us a very strong warning against backbiting, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has considered or has labeled the sin of backbiting as the sin that's even worse than fornication. But backbiting is so common in our gatherings, in our meetings. And what is backbiting? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself explained. He said, "Dhikruka akhaka bima yakrah." When you mention something about your brother behind his back that he doesn't like. So if you say something about your not real brother, any other person, Muslim or non-Muslim, you say something that if you said it to his face, he wouldn't like it. That will be considered backbiting. So in our gatherings, we say so many things about our friends, about our brothers, about other people, that they won't like it. We criticize them in a way that disgraces them, that humiliates them, that embarrasses them, and things like that. So anytime we mention something like this behind the back of another person, that's called backbiting, and we shouldn't do that. At-tuhuru shatrul iman.
I have a question.
Yes.
Just regarding that, sometimes you are in a situation at work, for example. I mean, sometimes there are some difficulties with certain colleagues, for example, and then you just can't come to an agreement, for example, because of the way you're thinking or behaving or something like that. But sometimes you take it off the meeting with other people that might affect the outcome of work and stuff like that by saying your own opinion about that person that is not ethical, for example. Is that considered, for example, backbiting?
It will be considered backbiting if you have no motive but to badmouth that person.
No, the motive is, for example, to get results, for example.
Yeah, if your motive is to, if your motive is to, change something, change a decision, or influence a decision, or something like that, then that would be considered fine. Especially if you're trying to save the business or the company or an employee from harm or things like that, then that would be fine. But if your purpose is just to make that person look bad or disgrace that person, then no. At-tuhuru shatrul iman. Purity is part of iman. Sometimes people translate shatr as nisf. It's not nisf, it's not half. It's portion, a part of iman. And Islam places great emphasis on cleanliness, on purity, making sure that your masajid are clean, making sure your homes are clean and pure, making sure your cars are clean and pure, making sure your clothes are clean and pure, making sure your bodies are clean and pure. Everything should be clean and pure. Then, Al-Qur'anu hujjatun lak aw alayk. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Qur'an is either an evidence for you or against you. How? If you do what Qur'an is telling you to do, then Qur'an will be in your favor. Qur'an will stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment and say, "Oh Allah, this person used to recite me at night time, this person used to abide my instructions, abide my teachings, so Allah, send him to Jannah, send him to paradise." And Allah will accept it, and Allah will send that person to Jannah. But those people who put the Qur'an behind their back, who abandoned the Qur'an, who did not follow the Qur'an, who did not practice upon the teachings of Qur'an, Qur'an will become an evidence against them. So on the day of judgment, Qur'an will say to Allah, "Oh Allah, this person put me behind his back, he abandoned me, neglected me, ignored me, did not practice upon my instructions, did not consider halal what was mentioned as halal, did not consider haram what was mentioned as haram." Oh Allah, send him into hellfire. And Allah will send that person into hellfire.
So it means we're actually reading and practicing, not just reciting.
Of course.
Without understanding.
Of course. Both things, reciting, understanding, practicing. Number 18. Al-jarasu mazamiru shaitan. Jaras means bell. In old days, people used to put bell in the necks of cows, camels, horses. So they make sure if the cow or the camel runs away, it will keep ringing and they will find it. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not like that habit, and therefore he disapproved it. He said, "Al-jarasu mazamiru shaitan." Mazamir is a plural of mizmar, and mizmar means the musical instrument. So mazamir or mizmar of shaitan is jaras, bell. Bell is like the musical instrument of shaitan. And this is why some scholars don't like using the bells even in their homes. But nowadays it's a necessity, and therefore the purpose of that is to alarm the house, to alarm the people, inform the people that someone is at the door. Likewise on the phones, on the cell phones, the purpose of the ring, the purpose of the bell is to alarm the person that someone is calling. So that's why the scholars have accepted it.
Sheikh, excuse me, you said there's an incident happened, that's why the Prophet disapproved of using the bell. I couldn't hear the first thought.
No, people who used to hang a bell in the neck, around the neck of cows and camels and animals.
Okay.
So if they got lost,
got astray.
they would find it.
Yes.
So, question. Music which makes you pleasure, that's shaitan. That's the evil, right? Music
Which makes you entertained.
entertain.
Yes, that is haram. Number 19. An-nisa'u haba'ilu shaitan. Women are the ropes of shaitan. This is a difficult one to digest for a woman.
I'm not gonna memorize this.
So this event is for brothers only, right?
Huh?
This event is for brothers only, right?
No, I'll explain, that's why we're here. But for feminist movements,
Mm-hmm.
this is probably the most difficult to understand and the most difficult to digest. Why? Because as soon as they hear it, that the women are the ropes of shaitan, they get angry. They say, why women are the ropes of shaitan? Without understanding what it means. What Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam meant, and in another hadith it is mentioned, al-mar'atu habalatu shaitan. Nisa is a plural of mar'a, and mar'a is a singular. So in another hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used a singular word. He said, al-mar'atu habalatu shaitan, that a woman is the rope of shaitan. Why does Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say that women are the ropes of shaitan, or a woman is a rope of shaitan? Because it's easier for shaitan to misguide people and distract men. Men get distracted very easily. So, what is the easiest way to distract men? Use women.
Usually described by women.
Huh?
Usually described by women, right?
Yeah, shaitan uses women to distract men.
Yes.
And that's, in that sense, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that they are the ropes of shaitan, not literally, but because shaitan, and who really tells them to put a lot of perfume on their body, a lot of makeup on their face when they leave the house? When they're inside the house, they will hardly put on any perfume, any nice clothes, any makeup, all of that. But as they're leaving the house, they would put on so much perfume everywhere, so you can smell them from a distance of half a mile. So, why is that happening? Because shaitan is encouraging them and motivating them that, oh, you're leaving outside, you should smell good, you should look nice. And for most women, they don't even have an intention that I'm really alluring men towards me or attracting men towards me. But that's how shaitan, uses them. Because shaitan thinks that, they will not understand shaitan's goal. And therefore, shaitan somehow puts it in their heart and they get it. And that's why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in one hadith as well that al-mar'atu idha kharajat istashrafaha shaitan. When a woman leaves from her home, on the outside is shaitan who's there to welcome her. Because now shaitan, as long as she's inside, people won't, really bother. But when she's outside, shaitan is there to welcome her, and then shaitan will make connections between people. And in one hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "An-nazaru sahmun min sihami, sahmun masmumum min sihami iblis." That the sighting or gazing is one of the venomous weapons, one of the venomous arrows from the arrows of shaitan, because he allows men and women to make contact, to see each other, and then he connects them, and that's it. From there, it goes to the next step.
So it's not the women that are.
No,
they could be used.
Yes, right.
So it's open for kind of confusion.
It goes both ways. It goes both ways. It goes for the men as well.
Right.
But men get distracted easily. Women get distracted don't easily.
But again, this hadith is about the women who are easy to be used by shaitan.
Yes.
We're not talking about the women.
No.
In general,
No.
right.
As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّ مِنْ أَزْوَاجِكُمْ وَأَوْلَادِكُمْ
Yes.
عَدُوٌّ لَكُمْ فَاحْذَرُوهُمْ.
Right.
That not all the women are your
Not all the women.
but
No.
some of the women.
No. And not all the women. Shaitan could not use the Ummahatul Mu'mineen.
That's right.
Shaitan could not distract, all these scholar women, all these abidat, muhaddithat, all of them. But through women, it's easier for shaitan to catch a prey, and men fall prey easily. On the other hand, women, they're not as easy to fall prey to men. They're not as easily attracted towards men, but men get slip very easily. الطاعم الشاكر كالصائم الصابر. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "At-ta'im" means the one who's eating food. So the one who eats food, ash-shakir, and he thanks Allah. He eats food and thanks Allah. كالصائم الصابر. Sa'im means the one who observing fast. and sabir means the one who is patient. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the one who eats and thanks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the food that he ate is like that fasting person who's patient, who's holding himself away from eating and drinking for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is basically equating the reward of a person who is not fasting and eating with the one who's fasting and not eating. Why? Because the one who's fasting, he's thanking Allah for the food that Allah has given to him. And the one who's fasting, he's already getting the reward from Allah because he's fasting for the sake of Allah. So basically, the lesson from this short hadith is that whatever you do, when you do it purely for the sake of Allah, Allah has the ability to give you the same reward as a person who's even not doing that. So al-iqtisadu fi nafaqa nisful ma'isha. This hadith is narrated by or transmitted by Imam Bayhaqi rahmatullahi alayhi, and the meaning of the hadith is al-iqtisad means moderation. Al-wasatiyya, moderation. Al-iqtisadu fi nafaqa, moderation in spending. Nisful ma'isha is half of economy or half of your budgeting, managing.
But the previous hadith, we should this we comment that is it doesn't apply in Ramadan, right?
No, it doesn't.
Yes, because people
No.
might think that
It's
hadith-
nafil.
Yes,
It's som nafil.
Okay.
Yeah, it's only for voluntary fasting.
Because there are many smart people in our ummah. mashallah.
I'm glad you asked that, I was confused.
Same thing actually they confuse it with Laylat al-Qadr. They say it's خير من ألف شهر. They say, oh, if I pray that, it's better than
Yeah,
that. But it's not even equal.
It's about nawafil.
Yeah.
Likewise, it's, if someone, let's say in one hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if someone prays Salatul Fajr and after Salatul Fajr he remains in his place making dhikr of Allah until sunrise, and after sunrise he performs 2 nawafil of Ishraq, he gets the reward of 2 Hajj and 2 Umrah. So one person asked me, if we're getting that here, why do we need to go for Hajj? I said, this applies to nawafil, not to fard. If Hajj is fard, you have to go there to make Hajj. You can't do that Hajj by sitting in the masjid or by sitting on your musalla. وَالتَّوَدُّدُ إِلَى النَّاسِ. This hadith is very important. الاقتصاد في النفقة نصف المعيشة. Moderation in spending is half of your budgeting. When you make your budget, when you make planning for spending, expenses and income and all of that, if you keep your spending under control, that's half of your budgeting. If your spending is out of control, you can never bring balance in your budget. But if your spending is under control, then you can always balance your budget. This is what happens with our governments. Look at the federal government; it's always spending more than what it has. So its spending is not under control. That's why it's always deficit, always debt. وَالتَّوَدُّدُ إِلَى النَّاسِ نِصْفُ الْعَقْلِ. And showing love towards people is half of aql, half of understanding. Aql means your faculty of understanding, your faculty of brain to understand things. If you're showing kindness towards people, love towards people, you've done half of the job. Now it's easier for you to deliver your message to people, to give da'wah to people, to attract people, to allow people to hear your message. If you're harsh towards people from the beginning, people will run away from you. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. If you were harsh towards them and you were hard in your heart, then these people would have run away from you. They would not have come towards you. But people would come towards Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam because فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ لِنْتَ لَهُمْ. Because you became soft by the mercy of Allah for these people.
So what is the translation from that?
Huh?
How are you going to write the translation in English?
وَالتَّوَدُّدُ إِلَى النَّاسِ نِصْفَ الْعَقْلِ. Showing love towards people is half of your intelligence. Aql is also intelligence. Number 22. التائب من الذنب كمن لا ذنب له. Number 23 actually. التائب من الذنب كَمَنْ لَا ذَنْبَ لَهُ. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that that person who repents from his sin is like the one who has no sin upon him. So once you repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your record is washed and your record becomes clean. And Allah will not question you. And this goes so far. In one hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that when a person has sincerely repented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even makes the spot where he committed the sin forget about that sin. Because on the day of judgment, even the piece of land will bear witness, will testify that, Ya Allah, this person committed this sin at this time over here. I am the witness. So when someone repents sincerely to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah even makes the angels forget and wash everything from the record and makes that spot forget about it as well. So it doesn't remember anymore.
Could you expound a bit about committing sin? Because people, think that I could go down the street, rob a bank, and afterwards make repentance, and I'm in the clear. So if you would expound on it, if you can, please.
Yeah. So yes, Allah is forgiving. Allah, forgives sins, and Allah is merciful. Yet, when you commit a sin with the intention of repenting to Allah, then the scholars say that sin may never be forgotten. That sin may never be forgiven. Because you're showing to Allah your courage to disobey Him. You're challenging Allah. In a way, you're challenging Allah that, I know you, I will do this, I will make you unhappy, I will displease you, I will disobey you, and then I will also repent to you. So you're challenging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is why some scholars say that the person who challenges Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do a sin, then there might be no forgiveness for that.
Because if somebody with that intention, probably Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take his soul without.
Yeah, that's also possible. Who knows, if you're committing that sin, during that sin you're gone.
Right.
Or Allah doesn't give you the ability to repent from that. Number 24. Al-kayyisu man dana nafsah wa amila lima ba'da al-maut wal ajizu man atba'a nafsahu hawaha wa tamanna ala Allah. This is a very important hadith. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the smart person is the one who controls himself, who handles his self, his nafs. And how he handles it? وَعَمِلَ لِمَا بَعْدَ الْمَوْتِ. He does those things which will benefit him after death. Like the good deeds. The good deeds will benefit you in akhirah, after death, in qabr, in hereafter. So a smart person is the one who keeps his nafs, his desires, his self under control, and he does what is going to benefit him after his death. وَالْعَاجِزُ man atba'a nafsahu hawaha wa tamanna ala Allah. And a fool person or a disabled person really in the sight of Allah is the one who makes his nafs follow the desires. So whatever the desire is urging him to do, he puts his nafs behind it to act upon it. And then after doing something wrong, he still thinks that he has a lot of umniya, a lot of hope in Allah. وَتَمَنَّ عَلَى اللَّهِ. So the smart way to hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is after doing the right thing. After you've done something right, then you hope that, oh Allah, I'm hopeful in your mercy. After you have done something wrong, and then also hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is foolishness. So this is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying. وَالْعَاجِزُ مَنْ أَتْبَعَ نَفْسَهُ هَوَاهَا. That the fool person is the one who always puts his nafs behind his desires. And then he always hopes that, oh Allah, I have hope in your mercy, and I hope in your forgiveness, and all those things as well. So your action and your hope are not in the same alignment. You have to make sure that your actions and your hope are aligned in the same direction. If they're both taking you in the opposite directions, then they're not going to benefit you. Number 25. Al-mu'minu مألف ولا خير في من لا يألف ولا يؤلف. رواه الإمام البيهقي رحمه الله. A true believer is the one who is the epitome of love. Ma'laf means people feel good when they are talking to him, when they are communicating with him, when they are sitting with him. They don't feel strange and they don't feel scared of him. Ma'laf, it comes from the word ulfa, muhabba, friendliness. So a believer is very friendly. And that's what that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Quran about the believers and their attitude towards each other as well. رُحَمَاءُ بَيْنَهُمْ. They are kind and merciful towards each other, with each other. وَلَا خَيْرَ فِي مَنْ لَا يَأْلَفْ وَلَا يُؤْلَفْ. And there is no real good in that person who is neither considered friendly nor he becomes friend of others. Ya'laf means he does not become friend of others, and yu'laf means people don't make friend with him because they don't like him. They think he's rude, they think he's humiliating, they think he's embarrassing, and all of that. So a true believer is ma'laf. A true believer is one who's friendly, who's kind, who's loving, who's caring.
المؤمن كالمؤمن.
Al-mu'min. Yeah.
But there is no such thing as a mu'min.
Not mu'min. No. Al-mu'min. Al-mu'min. Okay.
لا لأن في همزة هنا.
Number 26. الغناء ينبت النفاق في القلب كما ينبت الماء الزرع. رواه البيهقي رحمه الله. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Ghina. Ghina means music. Okay? Music, ghina, taghanni, is all one word. Al-ghina'u yumbitu nifaqa fil qalb. Music causes hypocrisy and nifaq to grow in the heart. Kama yumbitul ma'u zar. Just as the water causes the crop to grow. So when you put water in the field, then there are all kinds of plants that grow because of the water. Sometimes water comes in rain from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and sometimes we put water. So whatever the source may be, when you put water, then the seed begins to turn into a plant. And like the likeliness of this is given by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with music. So when you start putting music in your heart, you start listening to music, and from your ears, it goes into your heart. So when that continues to go into your heart, that allows nifaq, that allows hypocrisy to grow in your heart. So this is one hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that teaches us not to be involved in music. And music means where musical instruments are used, whether it's a guitar or drums or all these instruments. When these musical instruments are used, that's where shaitan kicks in.
There are certain actually songs. I mean, like they say chanting and stuff.
That's fine. Chanting is fine.
Yeah.
If musical instruments are not being used, then that's fine.
Sometimes they use drums and stuff. They say
Drums
no,
okay.
it's not.
Drums too, drums shouldn't be used, except there's one thing that's called duf.
Yes. Yeah.
And duf is like a one-sided thing. It sounds like something like this. It's a one-sided drum, not a two-sided.
What about toys, Mufti? Toys for the kids.
Toys are fine, but it's better to have those toys which don't have a lot of music.
When you say hypocrisy, like what kind of
Nifaq.
hypocrisy? Like what would music create hypocrisy? Like what kind of hypocrisy?
Okay,
Religious hypocrisy?
of course, religious hypocrisy. So, what is hypocrisy? When your words and your actions don't match. You're saying something to people, you're showing one side to people, and on the other side, you're something else. From outside, you're showing something to people, and from the inside, you're something else. That's what munafiqeen were, in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They would show people, oh, they pray and they do zakah and they do this and that, but inside they had no iman. Inside they really didn't do that. So that was the worst case of hypocrisy, worst level of hypocrisy. And what is the normal hypocrisy people may have is, it may not be something negative to iman, meaning something that negates iman, but it's something that still, allows you to live a double-faced life. So you have one face with, some people, and you have another face with other people. That's also an understanding of hypocrisy. People do it. I don't know.
That's the question. Well, what is the benefit?
There are various reasons why people do that. Some people do that because they can't resist from their urges and from their desires. At the same time, they don't have enough courage to open themselves up and reveal the truth. So that could be one reason, and there are many other reasons. Sometimes it's family, sometimes it's friends, sometimes it's society, sometimes it's community. All different reasons.
Sheikh, what was his question?
What the question?
His question is why people do that. Why people become two-faced. Dhul wajhayn.
Sometimes it happens and they don't even know it. Right? That could be too.
Yeah.
And but just for this hadith about, it doesn't mean that make the person al-ghina,
Munafiq?
make the person munafiq.
No.
But nourishes.
Yes.
Yes.
It creates that. It allows it to grow.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
My question is, in our countries mostly, especially in our culture,
You become one of them.
especially in our country, Pakistan, people do that, they say, oh, it's a lifetime, I have to do that. Like, they do this kind of tradition when they do the music and all this thing. So, this is also not allowed, that's my question. In the United States, they do that. Even I see the mostly people are very religious, but they're doing in a year, they have beard and they have praise Allah, but they're still doing it because they're bound from the family culture.
No.
So what do you say about this? Is that right? They should do that or they should not?
They shouldn't do that.
So it means it's a two-phase.
Yeah.
So Zubayna guitar is haram also?
It's haram. And nowadays they have all kinds of instruments. They have, advancement in technology, and they have all kinds of things. You can actually do that on your iPad.
Right. That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Now you don't really need instruments.
Yeah.
can do it on
You
the
create
iPad.
the same thing
Right.
on the software.
Yeah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. التجار يحشرون يوم القيامة فجارا إلا من اتقى وبر وصدق. This is really important. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said at-tujjar. At-tujjar means it is a plural of tajir. The traders, merchants, businessmen. So the businessmen, he said, يحشرون يوم القيامة, they will be resurrected on the day of judgment fujjara, as sinners, as transgressors, as wrong people. إلا من اتقى وبر وصدق. Unless they were righteous and they were pious and they were truthful. So three things you have. If you're a businessman and you don't want to be resurrected with those businessmen who are being resurrected as fujjar, as sinners, transgressors, you need to have taqwa. You need to have truthfulness, and you need to have piety. إلا من اتقى وبر وصدق. Barra comes from the word bir. ليس البر أن تولوا وجوهكم قبل المشرق. Bir means doing good deeds. So you have to do good deeds, and you have to have taqwa in your heart, fear of Allah, consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you have to be truthful, because businessmen are mostly the liars. They will, in order to sell their products, sometimes they will lie about the products, sometimes they will lie about the price of the product, Sometimes they will lie about the warranty of the product. Sometimes they will lie about the life of the product. They lie in so many different ways. This is why Rasulullah ﷺ said, وَالصَّدَقَةِ, he has to be truthful. If the businessmen are not truthful, are not pious, are not the ones who perform good deeds, then they will be resurrected with fujjar.
So that leaves the used car salesman, right?
Huh?
Used car salesman.
Used car salesman? Everybody.
No, that means you should give extra warranty if you're a used car salesman.
Okay. Look at the next hadith. It's related to this. التاجر الصدوق الأمين مع النبيين والصديقين والشهداء. A truthful businessman and an honest businessman will be resurrected with the prophets of Allah and with the truthful servants of Allah and with the martyrs, with the shuhada. So look at the contrast. If you did not do these things, you will be resurrected with fujjar, with the trash of the society. And if you did the right things, if you are a businessman, but you're a truthful businessman, you are an honest businessman, you're a good businessman, then Allah will resurrect you with the prophets, messengers, and the siddiqeen, the truthful servants of Allah, and shuhada. And these are the highest ranks of good people. Next, Ayatul Munafiqi Thalath. There are 3 signs of a hypocrite. We're talking about the signs. We're not talking about the qualities. We're talking about the signs. Ayah means sign. There are 3 signs of a munafiq, hypocrite. إِذَا حَدَّثَ كَذَبَ. When he speaks, he lies. وَإِذَا وَعَدَ أَخْلَفَ. When he makes a promise, he breaks it. وَإِذَا تُمِنَ خَانَ. And when he is entrusted, he breaks the trust. So these are the 3 signs of a hypocrite. If someone has these 3 things, then he is a hypocrite. كَانَ مُنَافِقًا خَالِصًا. And if someone has one of these 3 traits, one of these 3 things, then in him there is one sign of hypocrisy. So what are the 3 things Rasulullah ﷺ said? When he speaks, he lies. When he talks to people, he's not really telling the truth, he's lying to people. Whether it's about news or rumors or information or anything else. When he talks to people, most of the time he's lying. And number 2, whenever he makes promises, he goes to breaking his promises. He doesn't keep up to his promises. He does not fulfill his words. So he breaks his word. And the last thing, the third thing, وَإِذَا تُمِنَ خَانَ. When he is entrusted with something, when he's given amana, he is always breaking the amana and he's always being dishonest in amana. These are the 3 signs mentioned by Rasulullah ﷺ here.
Mufti sir, sometimes people lie about jokes. What about it? Is it okay to lie about jokes?
Lying in jokes should not be done either.
I think this hadith also.
Yes.
إن الكذب لا يصلح في الجد ولا في الحزن.
Yes. There is actually a hadith, and in one hadith Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man taraka I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact words of the hadith. Yes. ولو كان هزلا or something like that. Allahu alam. But yes, there is a hadith in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Allah gives a guarantee of a house in the middle of Jannah for that person who gives up lying, even if it's for ولو كان مازحا, even if it is for joke.
What about with the kids? Sometimes people.
You should joke. You should joke. Islam does not teach us to become boring. You should joke, but in the right way. Not lying jokes are not only the jokes.
Like sometimes you tell the kids, okay, I will buy you this, you do this, and then you forget to buy those things. So is it a lie?
Then you're wrong. Then that means you should be punished.
What's a lying joke? I need an example to understand what it means.
Like you lie in your joke. it does not happen. It did not happen in reality,
Right.
and you make up something in your in your sentence, and you say, in New York the bridge fell, and it did not fall. That's a lie. But you were just like comedians.
Oh, okay.
What do comedians do?
That's right.
They're always lying,
Yes.
Make the people laugh.
Yes.
just to make the people laugh. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Would that be associated, would you say, with April Fool's Day?
Of course,
That kind of
haram.
Sheikh,
Scholars have given fatwa on April Fool's Day.
That's used quite a bit. People do that.
I'm just about some clarification. You said that the hadith said, أنا زعيم ببيت.
Yes.
هذا الحديث الرسول عليه
في ربض الجنة. Huh?
Correct. حديث الرسول.
Yes.
So ليس حديث قدسي, right?
No.
So it's saying the prophet, he said, I guarantee, not
Yes.
Allah.
Yeah. The prophet can be the guarantor.
Yeah, because you said Allah. And
Yes.
Mufti Sahib, the best thing is to be quiet. That's the best thing.
Okay.
Not to be quiet. That's not, I mean, if you can't say something good, then quietness is better for you. Silence is better for you. But if you say something good, then they're saying that is better for you. But if you wanna, of course you should play with your kids, you should joke with your kids, but try to stick to those jokes that are pure and that does not have any lies in them. And there are jokes like
I
that.
think Rasul he defined the three cases that is,
Yes.
lying is permissible.
Yeah.
Is when the person lied to his wife, for example, serving him spicy food.
Those are exemptions.
I love this food, it's like burning from inside.
Yeah, but you do that all the time. Otherwise you're gonna stop.
And the second,
These are the
These are the signs.
Yeah.
There are qualities of
So-
for reconciliation.
when these things are adopted as a character, then they become the quality, bad qualities. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. الكبائر الإشراك بالله وعقوق الوالدين وقتل النفس واليمين الغموس. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the major sins are, number one, ishrak billah, associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Any kinds of partners. You can associate partners with Allah in His attributes, that's shirk. In His asma, in His names, that's shirk. In His uluhiyya, in His worship, that's shirk. In His ubudiyya, that's also shirk. If you associate partners with Allah in any way, that's shirk. And that's ishrak billah. And that's one of the greatest sins in the history. Number two, وَعُقُوقُ الْوَالِدَيْنِ. It's very important to understand. Arabic language is so beautiful that if you replace one word with the other, it can totally change the meaning. Here is عُقُوقُ الْوَالِدَيْنِ. The word uquq comes, it's with ayn, and it comes from aqqa ya'uqqu. And there's another word is haqqa yahuqqu. So there's huququl walidain, which you have to do. And then there's uququl walidain, which you cannot do. Uququl walidain means disobedience of parents. So huququl walidain means the rights of parents you have to fulfill. And uququl walidain, disobedience of parents, you cannot do.
Only with one letter.
Yeah, only one letter. Uquq and huquq. So you have to make sure that you are not disobeying your parents, because disobedience of parents is one of the greatest sins, one of the major sins. Al-kaba'ir is the plural of kabira, and kabira means major sins. And Imam Ibn al-Jawziyah rahmatullahi alayh has compiled a list of those sins from the ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and from the ayat of Quran, which are called kabira, which are called the major sins, al-kaba'ir.
Imam al-Zahabi.
Imam al-Zahabi?
70.
70. Is it Imam Zahabi? Yeah, jazakumullah. Someone took that book from here and never brought it back.
That's how we know he has.
No, I remember, 3-4 years ago, and that person took permission from me as well. I said, you have to bring it back in 1 week. And he never brought it back. It's been 4 years now.
So
What is he?
because he didn't do what your sheikh does. Instead of you should tell him
yeah.
go buy it.
So where's that person?
I don't know.
Oh, he disappeared.
No, he disappeared, yeah.
You say anything more than off. Is it a big sin?
Not sin, it's against the adab. It's disrespectful. وَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا. Okay, وَعُقُوقُ الْوَالِدَيْنِ, and disobedience of parents, وَقَتْلُ النَّفْسِ, and the killing of a soul. Killing someone is a major, major sin. وَالْيَمِينُ الْغَمُوسِ, and the false oath. Yameen means oath, and ghamus, it comes from the word ghamas, to drown something. So this yameen, this false oath will drown you into the darkness of sin. So the false oath is also a major sin. False oath means you say to someone, Wallahi, I bought this water, when you did not buy this water. That's false oath. You say to someone, Wallahi, I was there, and you were not there. So that's Yaminul Ghamus, and that's a major, major sin.
Allah, Yamin Ghamus mainly is used to take somebody's rights without, we just make a false oath to take somebody's rights.
That's when it's used, primarily. But it generalizes, in every way. See, it says, Al-Yaminul Ghamus hiya al-kadhiba wa summiyat bidhalik li'annaha tughammisu sahibaha fil ithm thumma fil nar. It drowns the person in sin and then in hellfire. Number 31. Al-birru husnul khuluq wal-ithmu ma haka fi sadrik wa karihta an yattali'a alayhi an-nas. The good deed or the righteousness is that when you show good character in your attitude. Husnul khuluq, good character. Good character is righteousness. Wal ithmu ma haka fi sadrik. And sin is that which creates some disturbance and some discomfort in your heart. When you're not comfortable with doing something, that means there's something wrong with that. But that applies to the people who are Salimus Sadr, who have pure heart. People like us who are corrupt already, anything will look good to us. We will not hesitate to do even the worst thing. So Rasulullah ﷺ is talking about those people who are Salimus Sadr, who have pure heart. When they are about to do something and that's not right, their heart will alarm them and alert them. No, there's something wrong in this. And that's the thing with fuqaha. Fuqaha, when they feel that something is not right, they may not have the evidence that it is not right, but they will say it that, they will feel it in their heart that something is not right over here. Like, for example, a transaction. A transaction is presented to a faqih, to a jurist, to a scholar, and there's something wrong in the transaction. He may not be able to find it exactly what is wrong and why it is wrong, but from the outset he will say, something doesn't look right in here. Something is not right. That's what Rasulullah ﷺ said, وَالْإِثْمُ مَا حَاكَ فِي صَدْرِكَ. What creates discomfort in your heart. وَكَرِهْتَ أَن يَطَّلِعَ عَلَيْهِ النَّاسِ. And also, you dislike that people would be alerted to it. People would be informed about it. So, when you do something and you find yourself in a situation that your heart is not comfortable with that, and you also know that if people find out about me doing this, I will not like it. I don't want people to know that I'm doing this. Then that is a sign that there's something wrong in that, and you should not do it. Next, number 32, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Al-khalqu iyalullah, فَأَحَبُّ الْخَلْقِ إِلَى اللَّهِ مَنْ أَحْسَنَ إِلَى عِيَالِهِ." Rawahu al-Imam al-Bayhaqi rahimahullah. Many of these hadiths are taken from the book of Imam Bayhaqi rahmatullahi alayh. Imam Bayhaqi rahmatullahi alayh authored many collections of hadith. One of the collections of hadith is called Shu'abul Iman. It's a very large book. It has, if I remember correctly, it has about 70 volumes. This book, Shu'abul Iman. A very, very large book. So Imam Bayhaqi rahmatullahi alayhi has recorded many ahadith in there. We don't know, wallahu alam, how strong is the chain of narrators here, how strong is the authenticity of this hadith, but he has mentioned many ahadith in that book. So In this hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Al-khalqu iyalullah." All the creation that Allah has created, all the people, whether they're white, black, brown, yellow, old, young, rich, poor, all these people, they are like the family of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the family of Allah, not in the sense of Christianity, where they believe that, there's the Son of God and the Holy Spirit and this and that. The family of Allah, meaning that Allah has created them and Allah is responsible for them. Like, a family is something